Thank you all for coming to the Chart Your Journey workshop. Today is April 8th, and I'm excited that you're all here. And I'm excited to share with you what I've been working on for, frankly, the past month and a half, in some senses, the past 5 months. So there is a lot that I've packed into this and I've distilled it down. So I hope that you get as much as you want out of this experience. My name is Dan, if you haven't met me before. Hey, nice to meet you. I'm the guy on the slide. I founded Learn to Scale, and I help HR and HR curious professionals have a larger impact on their organizations and their own careers. And I do so from my background in employee engagement and retention. So there's lots of ways that we could talk about employee engagement, retention, et cetera. But today, we're talking about career mapping techniques and those different types of techniques that you can use and steal either for your own purpose or for the organizations and people that you work with. I also have run workshops and trainings for the past 12 years. So I do like wave my arms a lot. I do use the microphone like a game show host, and I do walk around the space. So just prepare for physical exuberance. Just kind of like a heads up. That's how I roll. Grow. So what is in store for you? For all you lovely humans who have shown up and given me some of your time and some of your attention, maybe all of your attention, even better. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to meaningfully piece together the 3 pages of the career treasure map. It's what we've been doing this past week in the Draft Your Treasure Map Challenge. And if you didn't come with your career treasure map, that's okay. You can borrow mine. You'll have answers at the end of the session about where you're going to be most effective, how to navigate around roadblocks in your life, and identify one simple thing that you can do today that's going to move you closer to your goals. I'm also happy to share and talk about the methodology for personal career mapping, and you're welcome to steal it all. Just use it for whatever. I am a learning nerd and I expect the world to learn as well. So please just take it, steal it, share it, etc. And throughout this session, I'm going to be talking about the HR Impact Program, which served as a model for the whole career week and for this particular session. And at the end, if this is something that seems like it might be a fit for you, then I'd invite you to come join. And if it's not, then that's cool too. I do have a freebie at the end, so don't just like bail on me. So this is why I'm going to assume you're here, besides you just enjoy hearing someone during your lunch hour, wine hour, whatever hour. I'm assuming you're here because you want to change, you have a vision, but you don't have the roadmap. You may be lacking some clarity on exactly what your vision could really look like. And you might be anxious to some degree that you're, quote, doing it right, whatever it is. And this is something that came up in some of my conversations. And I work with a lot of HR professionals in my coaching practice and in my one-on-one meetings and just kind of schmoozing around, hanging out in Slack groups. And there's a double-digit percentage of people who just need to take some of these vague thoughts around their goals and their vision and put it down onto paper. And there's this one person that I work with, and she has tons of ideas. She is one of those perennial starters, struggling finishers. And she always coming to me with the new hotness and always saying, here's the thing I want to tackle next. And then the projects kind of like simmer by the wayside and she moves on to the next exciting thing. And this method that I'm going to be sharing with you today, it worked for her because what we did is we shrank down her goals into something attainable. And then we really charted the line from where she was to where she wanted to go. And what we found through that process is that her roadblocks were bigger than she anticipated and her strategies to get around them, half-baked. So when we did that, when we downsized the goals, we figured out the roadblocks, we charted the journey, she was able to actually achieve the success she wanted to see and got a lot of pleasure out of it. So I want you to have that same kind of deep pleasure. And like I said, you can steal it all and give that pleasure to someone else in a very HR appropriate way. So this is why I'm here. I'm here because I think I can help you get that feeling of deep pleasure. I think I can get you that roadmap that's simple and that you believe would work for you. That you'll have more clarity walking out of this session on where you want to be and confidence in what you choose to do. If this sounds like something that you're on board with, just chat yes into the Zoom chat. This is also my litmus test to see if I'm talking to humans or if I'm talking to robots. I see a yes. I see a hell yeah. I see a yes. I see a heck yeah. Yeah. Okay. Those are definitely human responses or very smart bots. And I'm honored that you're here with me. So let's talk about how this ship is going to sail. I want you first to give yourself permission to be not last on your list and allocate time to think about yourself. And guess what? The fact that you're here, you already done that. So one step ahead. I want you to identify a destination. Honestly, identify where you are on that journey and name the roadblocks. And if you've been playing along in the Draft Your Treasure Map week, guess what? You've been doing that too. Hey, 2 steps ahead. What else we're going to be doing today? We're going to self-reflect, provide external evidence that's going to validate your self-reflections. We're going to decide to learn, leverage others, or dodge your roadblocks, and identify which of those strategies is the best to start right now. Now, I understand some of you, I have not seen you some of the Draft the Treasure Map challenges. That's okay. You can borrow my homework, okay? So I mentioned you could bring a piece of paper, and I would recommend actually handwriting this out because handwritten stuff matters and it kind of sticks around when you close your computer. So take a piece of paper, fold it into thirds, and I want you to kind of write this out. On the leftmost side of it, write reality. And on that, you're going to borrow my goal, the reality of getting about 10,000 steps a day. The roadblock, that's what you're going to put in the middle. And for me, that was time to make 100,000 additional steps. Quick math, if you do 10,000 steps a day for 3 months, which is 90 days, that's 900,000 steps. If you want to hit a goal of 1 million steps in 3 months, then somehow you got to get 100,000 additional steps. So you can borrow my homework, and we'll be using this as the example as we go through it. So now you got an example that you can write down. If you want to download a full treasure map, you can head to bit.ly/full treasure map. You could download the full treasure map. You could fill it in and play along at home, but it may take a little bit of time because the questions are a little bit deep and you gotta talk to yourself and get in like that feeling space. And I'm gonna try and distract you by being entertaining. So our first section of your treasure map that we are going to be filling in is dealing with your efficacy, your ability to execute on your present day and your roadblocks. So we're going to be assessing this on impact, influence, and confidence. So if you have your treasure map that you've been working on this week, this is going to be the intersection of page 1 and page 2. They're the blue line boxes that we've been talking about. This is why these 3 pillars are what we found in the HR impact program and the employee engagement cohort to be kind of the biggest factors around HR success. So we're going to first assess what's your impact. How would you score yourself? And you don't have to share this with anyone. This is just with you. So you can keep it private. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you assess your current ability to get important things done? Not just crap, but like important stuff. And as you're thinking about that score, there's some factors that's going to nudge this up and down. So can you fluently identify specific tasks that complete an objective? So can you think about the pieces that add up to the bigger picture? If you can, great, awesome. Then give yourself a boost. If you can't, maybe give yourself a demerit on that. Are you reliable in forecasting time requirements? If you're pretty solid, if you've got a track record of that, give yourself another point on your score. Not so good, knock one down. How well do you use creativity and cleverness in solving problems? How do you self-assess your kind of ability to think outside the box to get important things done? Great, add 1. Not so great, maybe knock down 1. And then next to it, so if you have the treasure map, there's a little box there that asks for evidence. Where is an example that justifies this score? An external example, not feelings like, oh, I feel like I'm impactful, bing bong. No, like what is the actual evidence of something saying, hey, I can do this. I have been able to do this. Someone recognized me for doing this. What evidence stands behind your score? And if you're doing this on the homework sheet, then what would you score? You can still put impact, influence, and confidence on here. It's the quick and dirty homework assignment. Now, let me pause for a second. So I know some of you're going to write 7. Okay. Don't write 7. That's a weak way out. All right. 7 is like neutral. It's like, oh, I can't commit one way or another. On an NPS score, it's a nothing. So I challenge you to bump it to an 8 because you believe it's an 8, or knock it down to a 6 because honestly, you're not a 7. You're a little worried about it or something. Okay, so no 7s on this sheet. All right, I should have put that on that and say like, if you put a 7 in, then no, write something else. Okay, that's my like little soapbox. Let me just get off that little soapbox here. All right. So that's the impact piece. Take 20, 30 more seconds and score yourself and give yourself Some evidence. Identify some evidence. 30 seconds. If you are missing the chart, I'm going to drop this down for everyone. Full treasure map. I'm going to give you even the full URL here. HTTP. If you're missing your treasure map, you're crocodile ate it or something, or you threw it away because it didn't spark joy. That's okay. You can download it at bit.ly/full treasure map. Okay. Don't worry. This is your map. You can continue work on this as you like, but we're going to move on to the next category, which is influence. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you assess your current ability to generate and apply influence? Doesn't matter much if you just have it. It's your actual ability to use it to get things done. So some factors to nudge this up and down. How do you kick off a relationship with an executive sponsor or mentor or leader? Do you have a bunch of them or none? If you have a bunch, maybe give yourself a score a boost. If you have not so many and you struggle to start those relationships, maybe knock it down a notch. Do you have a leadership philosophy that helps guide your decision making? So are you trying to reinvent the wheel every critical decision? Or do you have a code of conduct? Do you have a North Star that you can articulate and say, this is how I should behave in these types of situations? And then can you balance data and storytelling to generate buy-in? It's two different ways of communicating and connecting with people. It's the logical side and the emotive side. Do you feel good at both sides? Do you feel really good at one? Do you feel not so good at either? So that's what you can add or detract scores, and no 7s. 8s or 6s. Okay, I'm looking at you. I see you, Alyssa. Yeah, you got rid of that 7 real fast, didn't you? Good. Okay, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to then think of evidence that backs up your score. Perhaps it's a recent conversation you had with a leader who endorsed you. Maybe it is a leadership philosophy that you've written recently. Maybe you've done a presentation where you balanced both sides of this and people walked away and said, I believe you, I'm going to stand up and advocate for what you're asking for. So can you provide an external example of something or somehow that justifies your score? Give you 30 seconds on this. Take one sip of water. Okie dokie. Let's keep scoring ourselves. Gosh, don't we love judging? I love to judge. All right, confidence. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you assess your current confidence in the choices and the decisions that you make? 1 to 10. Some things that might nudge this score up and down. Do you have experience that backs up your choices? If you've got 15 years of experience doing what's-a, that should be some confidence, right? Or does that hold you back? Do you know how people work and how to drive successful change, i.e. like emotional intelligence? Do you feel pretty confident having those tough conversations? Do you know how to work with different people from different backgrounds? Point up. Not so much. You struggle. You're kind of like a robot and you're awkward at times. That's okay. Knock it down. This is just a score in where you're at. What's your ability to communicate and broadcast your impact? Is that how confident are you standing up and talking to an individual or a group of people about the impact that you have? And the evidence that proves this. Have you received any feedback, any recognition that you are confident? Do you ever get the heebie-jeebies inside? And is that ever remarked upon? Or is this purely an internal, like your heart is like crushing inside kind of feeling, but everyone's like, you're super great. Could be great. I mean, honestly, confidence has a big X factor on how much impact you can have in what you do in your own career. And everyone has imposter syndrome to greater or lesser degree, but the ability to recognize that, address it, and compensate so that you can still get the things done that are important, give yourself a higher or lower score on that and cite some evidence. That's a tricky one, right? Well, let me give you some examples to kind of think through some of these a little bit more. So for example, impact, 4 out of 10. My work is mostly process. And the last time I got feedback was 2 months ago. I have no idea on my impact, and nobody comes to me and says I am having an impact. Real question marks on my impact score. Or influence. Maybe I'm an 8 out of 10. Last week, I won a major award, mostly due to my helpful approach to working with people. Can you point at an award and say, I got this? They said I was really good. Hey, maybe you're doing a presentation in front of a bunch of people about your new app. Maybe you got recognized to go and do your presentation. That's a piece of influence. That's evidence. Confidence, 6 out of 10. Yesterday, got really nervous for a presentation, but everyone said I did great. There's a disconnect here. That's why I'm putting it at a 6. But if I thought that I did great and they said I did great, maybe I give myself an 8. There's a disconnect and it was a 6. All right, this is self-assessment here. Now, anonymously, you can tell me which of your categories has the highest score. You don't even have to tell me the score, just which of those categories is the highest score. So if you haven't played along with Slido, you can bring out your internet machine, go to slido.com, put in the code AHOY, like the chips, but just AHOY. You can also scan your QR code using your phone, and there will be a poll there that says which her categories has the highest score. So we've got 1 vote for impact. What else do we got out there? I know there is more than 1 people out there. I think the actual term is more than 1 person, but I know there's good people here. A bunch of people are voting on impact. Bunch of people are voting on impact. We got 1 for confidence. We got a bunch for impact, not so much confidence. Nobody's going to vote for influence. Anyone got any for influence? Anyone out here for influence? Nobody's going for influence. Nope, we're going to move on impact. Impact's getting higher, higher, higher. Anyone else out there going to vote for anyone in there has any influence? Nobody has influence. That's okay. You know, it's just your lowest score out of all of them. You could have a great score for all of them. Maybe they're all 10s, except for 1's a 9, and 9's the influence. But who knows? Right now, impact. We got a bunch of impact makers here. A bunch of impact makers here. Gosh, I have too much fun in these webinars. So as you're like seeing these scores and you're kind of seeing that there's a spread of numbers here, how's this making you feel? Like looking at this. So Lexi, thanks for chatting it in. If anyone has any other feelings they want to share, like, oh, I didn't realize that influence till yesterday. Amen, girl, you got influence. Or did anyone see any surprises where they're like, oh, I guess now that I look at it, I do have impact. Whoa. Thought I had more influence. Confidence. Yeah. Same across the board. Wow. Good reminder to work on confidence. Yeah. Confidence is like an X factor on a lot of things. Great. Having the evidence is key because I mean, I go to bed every night and I stare at the ceiling and be like, I have no impact. I have no influence. I have no confidence. And then something comes out of the blue and someone sends a really nice note and says, hey, you know, you had a really big impact on my day today. I'm like, whoa, that feels great. Recognition is a powerful thing. It's evidence. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. So now this part of the show, we are going to get through, get over, or get around your roadblocks. And frankly, if this is your roadblock, that's a gorgeous roadblock to have. So there are 3 approaches that I want to share with you because they're the 3 ways that we approach problem solving in the HR Impact program. It's finding ways that you can use techniques and frameworks, collecting insight on others on how to do things well, and recontextualize impossible problems to become solvable. So the 3 approaches that we're going to be using on your career map roadblock de-roadblockifying starts with learning your way through things. What skills, what knowledge, or experience would move you through your roadblock? All right, flavor number 1. Flavor number 2, leverage others. Who has the resources, the intel, or can provide accountability to help you over your roadblock? who will lift you up and carry you through your roadblock to the promised land of success, goals, achievement, who knows what. And the third flavor is dodge it. Never was a problem to begin with. You recontextualize the roadblock, look at it sideways, and think outside the box how, wow, this is just a figment of my anxieties. It's not really a roadblock. Or maybe it can be really elegantly solved simply by ignoring it. These three approaches are also on page 2 of the career treasure map. And there are 3 little bubbles there. So this is where the action, you get to put things into action. If you agree that most roadblocks are solvable by either changing you or changing the game, you're going to love the next step. This is also very growth mindset-y for people who love, like, you know, the philosophy of things. Like, you can surmount most roadblocks. You just change yourself or you change the game. Whew. Growth mindset, all about it. So pick your approach. If you came in with your treasure map, you should have 3 roadblocks listed out on page 2. So figure out, are you going to learn, you're going to leverage others, or dodge? And this is not a commitment. This is not saying this is what I will do. We are generating hypotheses. I love hypotheses. I had a mentor once who's all about the hypothesis. It takes a lot of heat and stress out of things. If you agree, I'm just going to make a hypothesis here, okay? No commitment. I'm not putting my character on the line here. I'm just making a hypothesis. So on your sheet, identify if it's you're going to learn, leverage others, or dodge. And then where the dotted line goes, boop, 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 generate a hypothesis. Jot an idea of how that approach could work. Put down just, you know, a scenario of how you might go about solving this type of problem. Maybe you can imagine you're coaching somebody and you're working with someone, say, hey, you got this kind of roadblock. Here's an idea. Here's something you can try. Then on page 3 of your career treasure map, there's a why box along the side. But if you take the pieces together, they connect because it's one box. What design? Under that why, that's where you're going to justify. You're going to provide the rationale why this approach would work. Again, you are not committing to a particular solution. You're simply identifying a way you could get around, through, or around, or over this roadblock, and then why that would work. And if you want to do a pro move here, the pro move is you're citing evidence that you've already identified in the first part of this workshop. So do you have evidence that your approach, this particular strategy, is going to work? You're not committing yet. It's just putting together a hypothesis and rationale. Now, I understand this is kind of like conceptual here, so I wanted to provide an example, especially for those of you who are borrowing my homework for this assignment. Let me give you an example. The challenge on this sheet that you have right in front of you, if this is kind of the way you're going, the roadblock is time to make 100,000 additional steps. Where am I going to fit in my schedule with all the dog petting and the webinar presenting and the treasure map generation to take 100,000 extra steps? Okay, that's a pretty big roadblock, right? That's a big roadblock. Well, I'm going to come up with a hypothesis, the leverage others technique. And how? Well, I'm going to volunteer to my partner that I will walk the dog so she can work out. Accountability. I will say, hey, honey, also it's our 10-year anniversary today. Fun fact, my partner, hey, yeah, I know, 10 years, keeping her around. So this is how we keep it alive, right? I volunteer to take the dog for a walk so she can go work out. And I think this is going to work. I think it's going to work because my influence score is, thank you. Yes, it is a happy anniversary. My influence score is the highest. And in the past, when I was accountable to someone else, I reached my goals. I have the evidence. I set a goal, I told someone about it, and I did it. Like there's some evidence. So this little here looks like a viable solution. So what I want you to do for the next minute is try and do this. Identify an approach, learn, leverage others, or dodge. Figure out how. Are you going to take a class? Are you going to take a training? Are you going to read a book? Or are you going to talk to your best friend? Are you going to talk to your manager? Are you going to talk to a mentor? Or are you going to just say, this is not a real problem? This has not been a problem in the past. It's not going to be a problem in the future. I'm going to dodge this completely. And provide the rationale, the why. And you can use your evidence sheet to source some information here and see if you can come up with some answers to this. So I'm going to give you a minute. Go for it. I'm gonna put on some sea shanty music. Is that cool? Yeah, it is. It's gonna be nice and distracting. Sea shanties.
Billy Riley was a dancing master. Old Billy Riley, 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 master of a drogue. Old Billy Riley, old Billy Riley, old Billy Riley, old Billy Riley, master of a drogue, bound for Antigua. Old Billy Riley, old Billy Riley, master of a drogue. Old Billy Riley, old Billy Riley has a nice young daughter. Old Billy Riley, old Billy Riley, old Billy Riley, old Billy Riley, old Missy Riley, little Missy Riley. Old Billy Riley, old Billy Riley, old Missy Riley, old Billy Riley.
Another 30 seconds.
But we can't get at her. Old Billy Riley, old Billy Riley had a pretty daughter. Old Billy Riley. Go, boys. Old Billy Riley, old Billy Riley, screw her up and old Billy Riley. One more pull and then belay, boys. Old Billy Riley, old Billy Riley, one more pull and old Billy Riley. Oh.
All right. Thanks, Billy Riley. I was inspired. Oh, Billy Riley. Okay. So you may have started filling this out. Great thing about having a takeaway is you can continue this journey at home. You can continue thinking through this. So if any of you have a thought about that third roadblock on the sheet, which is the professional bother, I'm curious if you've thought of anything or decided, are you going to learn, leverage others, or dodge on that third roadblock? And if you didn't have the page 2 of the Draft Your Treasure Map, this is the thing that bothers you professionally, the thing that might be a confidence eroder, it might be kind of imposter syndrome, it might be a doubt, it might be the feeling of not having an impact. It could be a lot of different feelings. So if you have a feelings roadblock, you're going to learn your way, you're going to leverage your way, you're going to dodge your way out of it. Just kind of seeing where you go. Got 1 for 2 for leverage. Nice. Bunch of people are leveraging others. I mean, that's a great strategy. Learning and dodging. Yes, on the board. I know I put down for my my professional bother is the feeling of comparing myself to others as an entrepreneur, as a human. And if I get inside my own head, I can't really like learn my way or dodge my way out of my own head. So when I did this exercise, I leverage others, and I have weekly standing calls with my accountability buddies to kind of like unpack some of these like self-doubts and anxieties. So, you know, I also picked leverage for that one. A bunch of people look like they like leverage. But honestly, any way works for you. And this is just a hypothesis. You have not committed to anything. You have 2 mentors who would win in a cage match. Okay. I see Alyssa's typing. I hope one of your mentors is Marie Kondo. Joe, but Angela looks feisty. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So now we're going to move on to the kind of final portion of this workshop is the now what. This is the last empty box on your career treasure map. If you brought it, and if not, then all the inspiration that you're getting out of this workshop. So your career has just been laid out on 3 pages right here. We started with the Draft Your Treasure Map challenge on your reality, on the things that you assessed yourself at. And if I also want to apologize if you filled out the survey and then you did not actually hit submit and you didn't get an email with your scores, that is purely a survey design flaw. That's all on me. And we'll set up a time to like talk through your scores so that your reality is like nicely fleshed out. That being said, reality. Then what we did today, your self-assessed competencies, your efficacy. Then your perceived roadblocks. You came in with that or you borrowed mine. Then you had some proposed methods around them. You then also have your goals at the very end of this of like where you want to go. And you can see it. You can spit at it. You can be like, it's so close. What can you do right now? Right now that you can fill in that box and say, I'm going to pick one of these hypotheses and rationales and take action on it. Maybe I'm going to make a blend of what I see. That's why I had lots of little dotted to that particular now what. But what is the commitment that you are going to have with yourself? Like, what's the thing that the conversation you've been waiting to have with yourself? Well, let's have it. Okay. Talk to yourself, fill in that now what box and say, if you walked out of this workshop and did something right away, right at whenever you decide to hit end meeting or leave meeting, what could you do right away to take action? I'm a big fan of momentum over meditation. So the chance to take this excitement, take the fact you've invested some time already, and just take it one little step further and say, all right, now what? This could be an emotional choice. It could be a practical choice. It could be a strategic choice. It could be a lot of different choices. And as you are identifying and filling out that particular box, I'm going to offer a choice that you might be able to fill that box with too. Because I said at the beginning, and also I've been kind of like alluding to throughout the session, is this HR Impact Program was the model for this whole challenge. So this box could be filled with the words HR Impact Program. The program, if this is interesting to you, if this matters, it's content, it's coaching, and it's community. And it's designed to help you increase your impact, build the influential relationships, and foster career confidence. It's what this treasure map, what this whole thing is all about. And frankly, the Draft Your Treasure Map Challenge is a microcosm of the whole program. So just like you started with the goals and coming up with your goals on the end of your treasure map, the HR Impact Program starts with a one-on-one intensive so that you can have really concrete, actionable goals. I'm sure you're very good at SMART goals. There's a lot of HR people here. Okay, we know what SMART goals are, but like, what could you take your goals to the next level, or what are some hacks or angles that you can make those goals more effective? We'll have bi-weekly group calls. That's bi-weekly every other week, not twice a week. I know bi-weekly goes both ways. And also a private community where you can chat with others and connect and kind of workshop things in that private space. There's some on-demand coaching with this. I use a tool called 15-5 so that we can have those one-on-one personal conversations. And frankly, if you're part of this launch cohort that I'm working with, then you can have on-demand coaching calls as well as needed. But there's a whole curriculum. There's a whole 3-month curriculum that you can have access from day one called the HR Impact Curriculum. And it's all the content that we cover in the course. You'll have the option to take the HR Impact Program certification. Yes, you can get a LinkedIn badge. You can put it on your profile and say, look at me, I have the HR Impact certification. And it's built off the course content. So you'll actually be able to demonstrate things. And as a learning professional, I'm not going to give you a cake exam to give you a whatever certificate. Like, you're going to have to answer some real questions and have some content knowledge. And finally, once you've taken that certification and passed it, then we would set up a promotion positioning intensive. Wherever you want to go with your career, you want to get that next job at your current employer, you want to peace out, Cub Scout, or you're in between jobs, we can crystallize the actions for that next step. This is a little overview of the program, which is, like I said, it's the 3 big takeaways: is high impact, influential relationships, career confidence. You can see some of the topic areas that we've covered through the challenge, things around project management, presenting metrics, social leadership, executive sponsorship, mentorship, strategy and execution, really important to have high impact on both sides of that plan, and making the results tangible. Next week in our group coaching call, we're going to be doing that particular session. And there's a big reason why HR and HR curious professionals have difficulty having an impact, because a lot of the things are in the hearts and minds of people. Let's make those results tangible. So this is the start of this new evolution of the program. So I'm offering this at a reduced kind of like rock bottom price to get you in and really making sure that you get the results that you want to see. I am unusually invested in early adopters. So until April 16th, this program is going at about $500 a month, which is you can go talk to other coaches and see what their prices are, but this is reasonable in at least the realm of coaches that I hang out with. And if you think you can get professional development funds, then we can have a quick kind of powwow about how to position this so that your senior leader, stakeholder, decision maker is like, dang, this is a smart investment. So we solve problems for the business while also building up your career professional skills. bit.ly/impact-awaits is where you can go see some more details about the program, and you could sign up right now if you want. If you're like, I don't know if I want to drop this much money today, that's okay. I am offering as part of this love it or leave it guarantee, so that if in the first month it ain't working for you or it ain't working for me, we part both ways and I buy the program back from you. You can keep all the on-demand stuff, but I'll give you all the money back plus 10 extra bucks to go buy yourself a beer and enjoy yourself and say what fun that was. At least it was worth a shot. Because I'd rather have you be in a program that you're committed to and you're enjoying than to just kind of like whatever your way through something. So, I mean, the worst thing is you walk out with a free beer. So this is the offer again, bit.ly/impact awaits. This is going to be valid until April 16th, and it's going back up to the regular price of $8.99 a month. There is a bulk purchase option. So if you think you can get those professional development funds and get it in one go, then great. The program is designed for 3 months so that you can really implement and put things into action. But if you show up 1 month, you watch all the videos, you get high fives, you have huge impact, and you're like, dang, this was good, then great. You walk out 1 month, wham, bam, sweet. That's the program. Let me recap everything that we covered in this session, and then we'll do some Q&A and questions. So we reflected on your starting competencies. We talked about 3 ways to navigate around your roadblocks. We connected the dots so you can set yourself a do now, and a little bit about the HR Impact Program. Decide if it's going to help you. If not, that's cool. You still learned something cool. This is the career treasure map that you have either filled out today, filled out over the week, or you're going to fill out after this particular workshop. There's the link again, bit.ly impact awaits. And for tomorrow, for those of you who like some margaritas, we're going to be making margaritas with Margarita, the bird. Here's Margarita here. And Margarita is really excited to share with you her spicy margarita recipe. So we're going to be having some fun shooting that video later today. But I encourage you all to make some margaritas tomorrow. And for all of you who have stuck around and listened to me narrate at you for a good like 6-7 minutes without any good jokes, as a thank you for showing up today, everyone here, I'm inviting you for a 30-minute career review consultation. So that's basically taking a look at your treasure map and talking about it, figuring out what's working, what's not working, maybe brainstorm on that one small thing. If you want to talk more about the HR Impact Program, great, cool. If not, or whatever you want. I'm going to send out this recording so you can have it, and I'll give you some details on how to book that session if that delights you. If not, you could just ignore it. That's fine. It's for you. It's your time. That's the workshop. Wow, that was 42 minutes of action-packed fun. At this point, it's now Q&A. It's a chance for you to ask some questions. Hopefully I can provide some answers or at least some bad pirate jokes as we close out the hour. So thank you all for coming. What questions do you have? Oh, hey, Nancy. Oh. Hey. Or if you don't have questions, any observations on your treasure map? Anything like, oh, interesting. Anyone have a do now that they wanted to share? Say, I'm going to do this. You know, when you say it to a bunch of strangers, it becomes real. Alyssa, do you have something?
I could share
Yeah?
something I'm debating right now is between being self-employed, which I am, and working in-house at a company.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a lot of struggle figuring out what I want because I was in a career pivot all last year. I finally got a job, but it's part-time and it's self-employment basically. And I got a new client and another, so now I have 2 clients and I might have a third and I don't know how to juggle these and I'm kind of going insane and my work-life balance is struggling, but there's another company I'm interviewing with and I really want that job too, or not too. I don't want all of them. I want one or the other. And it's really hard for me to identify because I guess I have this fear about being self-employed, like about taxes and all these extra expenses because I'm going to have to pay for my own health insurance. Right now I'm in a gray area loophole with free health insurance and that's not going to last.
Right.
So, I don't know if anyone wants to share their thoughts about that. I'm open for support.
I mean, I have thoughts, but I want to let the wisdom of the crowd contribute first. This is how we run our program.
I'd say you should follow Dan's method because it sounds like the perfect way to chart out your feelings and really get into it. And if you can do the 30 minutes with him and perhaps even sign up for the program, I think that you really need a coach to help you think through that because they might identify things you haven't thought of. And it's really hard to do by yourself. well, I won't say how old I am, but I've been doing the same thing you've been doing for a very long time. So I recommend coaching.
Anyone else? Any other thoughts, feedback for Alyssa? I mean, I have some ideas as well. If you're excited about the full-time job and the self-employment, it sounds like it's not necessarily those are the options that excite you, but the idea of maybe some security and stability that excites you. So there's something beyond the how that's motivating you. And yeah, self-employment will have a little bit of that forever empty inside of like, oh, is it going to work out? That's also part of the joy, is that you do get delighted on a regular basis, that you get to see a whole bunch of friends in a session like this. There's pros and cons to both, and your comfortability in the things, in the ways that you work, that you're going to be most effective is going to be aligned with what you think is going to kind of get you there. So if you love having a lot of autonomy and a lot of choice and a lot of creativity and try lots of things and also have some discipline, the self-employment route might bring you more joy. I mean, you can't really compare them side by side. And then the employer, if they're a mission-driven organization that stands up for something you believe in, if you like working on a team, having some more structure, maybe that's going to be a place that's going to get you that route to that ultimate destination, because that's the thing, that's the goal at the end, that positive feeling, that outcome that you might be looking for. I don't know if that's helped. Okay. Okay, Lexi asked, what are priorities and where do they most align? So yeah, that's bingo right there. I don't know if that's a question you're asking for yourself, Lexi. Do my priorities align? What's
Nice. I don't want to make this all about me. I want to hear from more people, but I just want to say that I do feel like it's abundant, like that I have the power and the choices, and that they're both really great choices no matter what I choose. So I'm excited, but I still want to know what I really feel inside about it, you know?
I mean, I'm not trying to self-promote myself about coaching, but I actually have a thought partner, Alicia. She's my podcast co-host for the 2020 Perspective. We regularly coach each other because we are grappling with these same types of issues. And having even just another human who can ask you tough questions and then call you on your crap, that's going to have a big return on investment to figure out how you really feel. It's the leverage others option. What else? Anyone else have a do now or a thing that they're saying like, this is what I want to do, or I'm unsure if this is the thing I want to do? I know Mike's doing the chin thing, so that means he's thinking. We learned that yesterday in the workshop.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm forever trying to figure it out these days, what I'm doing in my life. But this was helpful.
Great. Do you have a do now?
Yeah, so I guess it's oh, wait, hold on, let me make sure I'm looking at the right box. Yeah, so the surprising piece of working through this is, you know, the do now of being thoughtful about the type of organization that I want to go to. One, you know, mainly one that is going to invest in my future career, but also one that's not going to completely, you know, suck the soul out of me and expect that I am working 24/7, because I'm really not interested in that. So I think trying to figure out ways to figure out what organizations' cultures are before you get into them. And I think you and I have chatted about this before.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like the litmus test of, is this going to be a crappy place to work? And figuring out what are the red flags or what are the green flags that the place is gonna be a good fit. And it's a bit predictive too. It's like, I don't know if this is actually a red flag or not. You find out that on the back end when you reflect and wow and say like, that was a miserable experience. Anyone have any suggestions for Mike about trying to identify organizations and if their culture and their working style is going to be a match or a fit for his interests?
I recommend finding out what exactly you're going to be doing day to day, because what I get very excited about jobs. So when I read the job description, I meet the people, it all sounds very exciting. And then when I get in there and I'm seeing what I'm doing day to day, often not very exciting at all. And then I'm really sad. So I suggest you get a hold of what's day to day and you ask those kind of questions, along with what's their strategy and what's their mission and what's the culture. I would find out day to day from your boss.
I think having like informational interviews as much as you can, especially if it's jobs or companies that you're interested in, not necessarily that are hiring right now, you know, maybe just trying to make connections with different people, because then you get more of the true story of like what is really happening behind the scenes without having a job tied to it. And then hopefully those connections will eventually lead to a position. But I think that that's sort of how I've been going about my job search.
Informational interviews is a great way of getting a sense of things, but also increasing your odds that you could get hired at that organization.
I'm doing a lot of informational interviewing right now, and one of the things that I really like to ask about are how people interact with each other in the workplace. I think that says a lot about the way that the culture actually manifests.
Absolutely. One of the things I love asking and also reflecting on is it's Thursday, it's 2 p.m. What would I be doing at my ideal job? What would it look like? What kind of things would I be doing? And that's something you can ask in an interview. Say, hey, it's Thursday, 2 p.m. I'm in this role. What are some of the things that I'd be doing on a Thursday at 2 p.m.? Oddly specific, but it makes people really connect the reality rather than just the branding of like, oh, you're going to be shaping hearts and minds. Well, on Thursday at 2 p.m., you're going to be checking an Excel sheet of who attended your hearts and minds worksheet. Cool. Anyone else have a do now or a thought from their career mapping experience? Something that either jumps out or you have a question or you're like, I'm just proud of this. I'm okay with silence.
I feel like I talk too much, but Dan, the public speaking event, I totally nailed it.
Yeah.
I did it today.
Did you hand talk?
A little bit. I don't know. I didn't see myself. It's kind of hard to see myself like how other people see you when you're speaking. But I conquered my first public speaking event today, and I think it went really well.
Did you put that in your evidence column? Because that's some honking evidence.
I actually didn't. I just feel like a lot of people are giving me feedback, and so people were immediately giving me some feedback and some changes and different things that they think that could contribute to the app. So I feel like that means they were listening to me and that they care, because you only give feedback if you actually care, is my understanding of people. So I feel like they cared what I was saying and they were listening.
That's a win. That's a win. Put that in the win column of your Dear Diary somewhere. And just say like, today was a big day. I try and put down wins every single day. So I have a quarterly goal planner that I use, and I fill out it every day, and I identify my goals, a victory, a hurdle, what's inspiring me, what brought me joy today, and how can I inject more of that tomorrow. Every day, and at the end of the week, I have like a weekly piece, simply because that track record provides the evidence when I have these kind of like anxiety nights, and I can go back to my wins and be like, oh, actually, I did crush it this week. So these are the little self-management entrepreneurship hacks that you could enjoy as a solopreneur or an entrepreneur of your own. Just point in the entrepreneur column. Okay. Unless there's any other questions or thoughts, I want to thank you all for sticking around, basically cracking open your heart and sharing your hopes and dreams with me. I hope that you got something really useful out of this. I will be sending out the recording and also a link to set up those 30-minute consults. And if the HR Impact Program is cool for you, then cool. If you want to just talk some more about it and kind of like suss out, is it really going to fit? Please, set up some time to do so as well. April 16th is when that deal's closing. But until then, be a decent human, be nice to each other, And I hope that the rest of your week goes smoothly and perhaps vaccinatingly.